Everybody, welcome to another episode of Wicked Good Show. This one is kind of like a spin-off. We're going to be covering the 5 new episodes of Rick and Morty that come out for Season 4. And we have a new co-host, a Rick and Morty expert, some might say, Ben Sharon. Ben, how are you?
I'm good. I don't know how much of an expert I am beyond, having just seen the show a bunch.
I think that qualifies you.
All right.
As much as an expert as anyone can be on Rick and Morty, right?
Sure. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's seen it more than me, but yeah.
That's true. I'm sure there's people who only watch Rick and Morty like over and over and over.
Yep.
Sounds like, a crazy person, someone who you probably wouldn't want to do a podcast with.
Yeah, I think there's a good, Goldilocks zone between, watching the show enough to know about it and not watching it so much that it, consumes you as a person and turns you into a serial killer.
Right, exactly. So hopefully we fall on the non-serial killer side of that. But we got Season 4, Episode 1. What was the name of this episode?
It was something very annoying.
Of course.
It was a pun, as usual.
It
was Edge of Tomorty, Rick Die, Rickpeat.
Oh my god. So that, of course, is a play on the Tom Cruise classic Edge of Tomorrow, which was eventually changed to Live, Die, Repeat.
Yes.
And that's actually a really good movie. Let me just say that. So this is Rick's own personal Groundhog Day, if you will. Or I guess, no, that's what that movie is. This isn't Groundhog Day at all. Just Rick dies a lot in this.
The idea is the same, right? Or you're just, doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not working. Right?
Right. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. So the show opens up at the dinner table, or the breakfast table, actually, because they were eating pancakes. We ended the end of Season 3 with the family kind of coming back together, and there being like this in-show and meta reset in terms of the writing, where at a lot of Season 3 they kind of just went far and far off the walls as far as like the macro story went, and they pledged within the show itself in the finale of Season 3 to kind of get more on a episode to episode basis, and not have these like crazy episode or like season long arcs, etc. So this was kind of a self-contained episode, as we've seen. So it seems like that's the tact they're going to be taking. We open the breakfast table, and Rick has put a chip into his brain so that he can deal with his Amazon wish list rather than interact with his family, which is pretty classic. And then Morty is we're setting up the storyline of the episode where he's fawning over his unrequited crush, Jessica.
Yes, as always, he's creeping on the Instagram. Just I thought it was really funny how she's at the grandmother's funeral, taking a hot funeral selfie. That was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, her cheeks were flushed with grief.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
So I mean, what did I guess starting right in this opening scene, do you think that was a good way to start it? We kind of came in as well when Rick started to drag Morty away. They have this new protocol in place where Morty has to consent to going on the adventures.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably good. It's been a lot of adventures that Morty's just been dragged into over the seasons. Not all of them have ended super well for him, mentally, physically. First episode, of course, he breaks his legs and gets them regrown and then commits murder. And now, so I think it's interesting. I like this idea of a soft reset to everything. So we can just kind of, because Rick and Morty got renewed for a ton of episodes, right?
Yeah, it's basically at this it's been renewed enough where it basically is going indefinitely at this point.
Yeah, right. As you say, like 10 years, Rick and Morty forever,
Yep.
all that stuff. But Yeah, I liked it. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, you don't think it's a slippery slope? I mean, what? What's next? Rick can't even tell Morty to jump off the Empire State Building.
I know, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like it a lot. I think that that it is kind of like I'm a personal defender of season 3. I know a lot of people weren't as big of fans of season 3
Right.
because it kind of went a little like too crazy,
Mm.
and there was like more focus on this like macro storyline rather than like the individual episodes being like as good as they could be.
Mm.
So I think it's fine. I as long as the show is funny, I don't really care what like kind of overarching like tact they take.
Right. No, I completely agree. So I think I did like Summer trying to kill her dad by raising his cholesterol too.
Yep.
I like how meta everyone is now. Like 4 years of living with Rick full time has made them all aware of everything around them, which is very fun.
Yeah, I mean, working, a little bit of jumping the gun here, but at the very end, we get another classic fourth wall break where they're talking about Summer ruining the premiere of season
Season
4.
4, yeah. So pretty great. But yeah, what's next?
So the adventure that Morty has consented to go on is Rick is taking him to collect some death crystals, which is the primary thing in the episode. And right off the bat, you think death crystals. That seems like they would be something that would kill you.
Right.
But as Rick said, that what Morty is thinking of is bullets.
Right. That was a great joke.
Yeah. And death crystals, in fact, show you, based off of the decisions that you could potentially make within your life, all the different ways that you could die.
Right. So that's horrifying. Not something I'd particularly want to know.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense how throughout the episode Morty is basically consumed by the crystal and trying to like use it to shape his future in the way he thinks he wants it to be.
Right.
But yeah, and it also makes sense that Rick sells them to as basically ways for like soldiers and like assassins to like see into the future so that they can
not die.
have an advantage in like combat and fights.
Yeah, no, that was a great great scene with him taking those guys out. That was very fun.
Yeah. Certain death.
Yeah.
And boom.
Yeah. It's really great. And then there's some fun jokes on this planet, like Morty holding on to the crystal and Rick being like, well, I thought you were just masturbating.
Would you prefer to address that head on?
Yeah. Oh man, that was so good.
Yeah. And then also talking about those crystal poachers, that they're the scummiest people that you can find. And Morty asks, well, what does that make us? Oh, we're Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, and so as you mentioned, Morty does hold on to one of these crystals, and he starts seeing visions of his preferred future, which is on his deathbed with Jessica, standing over him, saying that she loves him as he's dying.
Right.
Which is very sweet in theory.
Yeah. Right. In theory.
Yeah. So Morty quickly becomes consumed with the idea of making sure he makes all of the decisions that the crystal wants him to in order to achieve that future.
Right. Which includes driving the spaceship.
Yeah. So where'd this grandson come from? Yeah, driving the spaceship.
Yeah, and then
go ahead.
Yeah, no, just a fun scene here. Rick dies unfortunately.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, you're right. At this point in the series, so Rick dies a pretty horrific death, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And we're introduced to a
And
new
then
character, right?
We get to meet one of the better characters of the episode, which is a hologram Rick.
Mm-hmm. He's, unlike Rick, very polite.
Well, he's polite and he's very sensitive to microaggressions against the holographic people.
Yes, gotta watch out for that.
Yeah, and so he's basically been programmed to make sure that Morty follows a certain protocol to extract Rick's DNA from his corpse and inject it into a cloning device so that a new Rick can be created.
Yes, because he destroyed his underground clone thing.
Yeah.
Was that the Little Rick episode?
Which one was that?
Was that the Little Rick episode? God, I can't remember.
During the Little Rick episode, he does clone himself into like the younger body and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the result of that episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm showing my expertise here.
Right, I'm sure there's someone out there, the person we talked about earlier, yelling at us.
Yeah.
If they're watching,
Yeah, that sounds right. So, if we'll go with that. But Morty doesn't follow the instructions.
No, I like. He wants this one future where he dies by Jessica's side, or with Jessica by his side, rather, and he will not do anything to endanger that, including letting his grandfather just be dead.
It seems pretty rational to me.
Yeah, which is pretty fun, pretty hilarious, but dark, really dark.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of shows you the power of these death crystals to, their insidious nature and, the way that the meta kind of moral of the episode, like, knowing your future is dangerous.
No, very. We drive people crazy,
Yeah, drive people to become Akiras.
That was a pretty ridiculous scene.
No more anime.
So what's next?
Because of the decision that Morty has made, the Hologram Rick and his Hologram Rick cohorts or Hologram Rick clones have started to petition against Morty to try and get him to change his mind and to also legalize weed.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that playing around with the hologram who can't do anything except to watch was a fun little side story going on here.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of fun little side stories, so we haven't even gotten to the B plot of what happens with Rick.
Yeah, exactly. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So the whole episode long, we have Rick pretty much just periodically dying and then being reborn within a cloning device of one of his parallel universe counterparts. And so we start out where he wakes up. He's in a regular human body. He comes out from underneath the garage, and he meets his first parallel universe counterpart, Fascist Rick.
Yes. A lot of fascism in this episode, it turns out.
When did this become the norm?
So ridiculous, but fun, and maybe a little bit of commentary on real life. Who knows? So yeah, what happens with Fascist Rick and Fascist Morty?
Well, we have Fascist Rick and Fascist Morty. The first universe that Rick wakes up in. He's able to convince Fascist Morty to kill Fascist Rick pretty quickly, just because that Morty just wants to have fun.
Right. But has no idea how to have fun anymore.
Yeah.
Spend fascists for too long.
He wants to have fun, but on his terms, the way he wants it, and he doesn't really know what that means.
Right.
So yeah, they go on a little mini adventure, the two of them, and what's the gearhead character's name?
He is Gearhead, right? Isn't
I
that his
think
name?
it's just Gearhead. But
Revolia. Let's see. Yeah, Gearhead.
Rolio Clockberg. Yeah, Gearhead. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Revolia
He has a real name though. You know.
Right. All right. Yeah. What was it? Revolio Clockberg Jr.
Yes.
Oh boy. So yeah, he's
But
a
yeah,
mechanic,
Gearhead.
friend of Rick, and he's always talking about his his politics and his war, right?
Yeah, the Gear Wars.
The Gear Wars, which are not that interesting as it turns out to anyone other than him.
I feel like that's the case for in a lot of cases. That's
Right.
also maybe a meta commentary. But yeah, so for some reason he's accompanying Rick and Fascist Morty on this adventure.
Mm.
Maybe he's the only friend that Fascist Rick had left, or maybe he's the only friend that maybe he abandoned Fascist Rick and he came back to hang out with Fascist Morty after the little revolution that Fascist Morty kind of started. I don't know. There's a lot of backstory with this character being there that it wasn't really explained.
Right. He's just there.
So yeah, the three of them go on this little space adventure, and pretty quickly that goes pretty poorly.
Yeah. There was a fun thing. Is like you have the Meeseeks come back, and Rick's like, "Oh, there, we did something. We did again." Like, see, references.
There's a lot of Meeseeks this episode.
There were a lot. And yeah, everyone dies.
That's the first iteration of Rick's Edge of Tomorrow, Rick die repeat, Rickpeat going on.
Right.
And then I believe after that he wakes up as a shrimp.
Yes. Which I really liked in this joke when he meets Shrimp Rick. He's like, "Oh, you know, were you descendants of apes?" And he's like, "Interesting. Do you live in trees?" And he's like, "No, it's pretty much exactly like this."
Yeah, I mean, because that's kind of like the real question that we would be asking is like these like shrimp people. Like it's weird that they would be living in a house like we would,
right.
But then you kind of turn that on its head, right? Like it's weird that we're a descendant from monkeys, but monkeys live in trees. We don't live in trees, so
yeah.
Makes sense, I guess.
It was fun, and then this Morty's way more normal Morty.
Yeah, he comes in and there's a pretty cool scene where both of the shrimp Ricks just start berating Morty.
And he scuttles away on the ceiling, and then more fascism.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. The last one, I woke up and there's all fascists. I'm glad that you're just shrimp.
Yeah,
and then
he gets murdered.
Yep,
didn't work out well for him either.
Yeah, you just want to keep on going down the B story here of Rick before we get back to what's going on with Morty.
Yeah, let's do that.
So the next one he wakes up as, I believe, is as a Rick teddy bear.
Right.
And pretty quickly finds out that the Rick teddy bear that he's with there also a fascist.
So ridiculous. So he just kills himself immediately.
Yep. And then he wakes up in which, in my opinion, is the best world and the final world that he ends up in, and that's the wasp people world.
Yeah, that was pretty horrifying.
Yeah, but not fascists. So.
No, just like really nice guys, you know.
Yeah, they're when you're that big of an asshole, you learn to have a little bit of empathy.
Oh man, and they're eating Morty's teacher, who's a caterpillar, alive. Pretty messed up.
Yeah, pouring some acid on him, and then he poops out some babies, and they eat that and get some little bonuses.
Oh, Jesus. Disgusting. So while this is all going on and Rick's having a good time with Wasp Rick, what's happening in the A storyline?
Yeah, so at this point, Morty has fully committed to the crystal, and he starts acting like a bit of a dick, and we open up in his math class with his aforementioned teacher in this universe in regular human form, asking him to come up and introduce the concept of an integer.
Right.
And Morty goes up to the board and he just scribbles on it and he fucking leaves.
Yeah. Pretty badass. For real.
Yeah. God damn, extra credit.
Whereas Morty does not give a shit.
Yeah. And so he starts strutting down the hall like he owns the place. And what happens next?
Yeah, he almost gets murdered.
Well,
he talks his way out of it.
Yeah, he runs up against the school bully who has a lot of pent up aggression,
as bullies do.
Yeah, and the bully threatens him and says, tomorrow you're gonna die.
Right.
So that scares Rick. That scares Morty a little bit, and then Hollow Rick comes out and they have another little helpful social commentary on holographic racism
and food and all that.
Yeah, so. There's a lot of themes, a lot of good themes.
Yeah, you gotta stay woke.
Yeah, it's very, very woke.
Oh,
Wasp Rick can teach us a lot.
Yeah. So this is when he's like, okay, like here's how you bring me back, and he's not into that at all, right?
No, he doesn't care about bringing Rick back. He just doesn't want to get killed by the bully.
Right.
And he also is heavily prioritizing making sure that he ends up on his deathbed with Jessica.
Right. So pretty much he just becomes a superhero at this point.
Well, hero is
villain.
Is definitely
super
up
villain.
For debate.
Yeah.
But
he gets powers.
He becomes yeah. He uses the technology available in Rick's garage secret weapon stash in order to basically become a demigod.
Right. So he kills some people. He uses some Meeseeks to murder other people.
Yep.
And you know what?
Yeah.
He gets away with it.
Yeah. He ends up turning himself in because that's what the crystal told him to do. He's going to court. His lawyer seems like not a great lawyer, but luckily for Morty, the crystal is on his side and is able to convince the judge that he's talking to the ghost of her late husband, and she sets him free and goes running off. And then if you follow the little Easter egg like lower third runner on the bottom of the news broadcast, it says that she committed suicide.
Oh no, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, if you should go back and read it. So there's like a whole like sub story of what happened with the judge, and the judge killed herself to be with her husband, and then there's like suicide awareness group calls judge's suicide a tragedy, but also make sure to say that judges shouldn't believe in ghosts.
Oh no, that's hilarious. But yeah, so what happens next time we check in with Morty after this?
Yeah, so Morty gets off. He leaves the courthouse and he meets up with his crush, Jessica, who's off to go skinny dipping with some of her hot friends.
Yeah, but he
sounds like a good time.
Can't be bothered.
Yeah, but the crystal says nope, and so Morty walks out on that. Walks out on a potential chance to actually make progress and see Jessica naked,
Right.
which seems to be his top priority, more so than his own family apparently.
Right.
Um, just shows how corrupted he is by the crystal, that he trusts in the crystal more than the reality that's in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then after this, he becomes an anime villain.
Yeah, that's basically he becomes an Akira.
Yep. So he
And
grows
as Jerry
into this
says,
giant monster.
as Jerry says later, no more of this anime nonsense.
Oh man. So yeah, he becomes that. Rick, Hologram Rick, and Wasp Rick have to after turning Rick back into regular Rick, off screen, have to get the crystal away from Morty.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was pretty easy for them to do that. But then we get Hologram Rick being corrupted.
Yeah, and becoming corporeal. So that's good for him. Except now he's gonna become like a god.
Yeah, and we have our hero of the episode, Wasp Rick, coming in once again to save the day.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. Stings him in the eye, lays eggs in his eye. Just like you said he does earlier, and they explode out of Rick's face.
And the larvae eat his brain.
Yeah. Pretty brutal.
Yeah, but necessary.
Mm. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, they have a little thing with Morty's parents. Like you said, Jerry says no more anime stuff. Morty tells his parents that this didn't have to do with Rick. This is pretty much all on him. And,
yeah, I mean, he did consent, so...
Yeah. And Summer ruins the premiere.
Yeah. What are you... Summer coming in, ruining Season 4, Episode 1. Season 4, Episode 1, you came in and ruined it.
So, again, another fun moment. And another meta moment. And, yeah, so I guess all in all, what do you think of the premiere?
Yeah, I thought it was a strong episode. Definitely a good way to kind of ease back into the show.
Yep.
We got most of the important main cast. I'm excited to maybe if we branch out a little bit more, see what some of the other like secondary characters might be up to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was good. Classic Rick and Morty adventure.
Absolutely. And so we got what, 4 more episodes in this season now?
Well, the season itself, I believe, is split into 2 halves of 5 episodes each. One that's happening right now, and then another that's happening next year.
Gotcha.
So I think next spring, maybe. To double check exactly if there's even a date, or if it's just kind of like in the ether.
Word.
But yeah. We have at the very least 4 more episodes in the coming month that we'll be talking about.
All right, get us right up until around Christmas time, which is exciting. And
yeah,
maybe we'll see Mr. Poopy Butthole with a big Santa beard. Who knows?
A big Santa beard and maybe some grandkids.
Yeah, well, we will certainly see. Ben, where can they find you online if they want to give you a follow?
You can find me on Twitter at Ben Sharon. That's my primary social media account. I also technically have an Instagram that I don't use.
What's your Instagram that you don't use?
It's also Ben Sharon.
Very nice.
That's it. That's those are it. Just follow me on Twitter. Follow Wicked Good Everything on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And Brian, follow Brian on Twitter.
Yeah, that's so Wicked Everything is at WG Everything on Twitter. On Instagram, it's Wicked Everything. Main channel, youtube.com/Wicked Everything. This channel, Wicked Good Podcast. Get us to 100 subscribers so that we can get that custom URL. And follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Wicked Good Everything. Anything I missed?
No, I'm very excited for the rest of this season.
Me too. So make sure you guys subscribe to all the channels. Subscribe on iTunes, rate us on iTunes, all that jazz, and we will see you with the next Rick and Morty episode. And then, of course, we have more Wicked Good show in between then. Mandalorian, actually, very soon, too. So we got a lot
all
of good
kinds of fun
stuff going. Absolutely. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day.